Hey guys, how you doing today? Now today we're Landmark Implements letting us demo a 735 flex draper today. It's similar to our 635. They kind of look the same from a distance, but there is some differences that I noticed, like some of the small complaints we have about our other heads. It looks like they've addressed them on these heads. One of them is underneath. Mine would every once in a while would scoop up some dirt or some stalks, and it would stop. It'd kind of get plugged underneath the belt and it would stop the belt, so you just have to get out and kind of pull that out. It looks like they changed that a little bit from underneath the head, so I guess we'll see if that helps. Also, this one is equipped with the flip reel kit like my brother's is, but I think this reel's got way more robust fingers on it than the other head we have. Also, they kind of got different snoots on the end. We have the Lankota ones that kind of are similar like this. The ones before, they were so long, far out, that when you'd kind of go back and forth, they'd tend to push over quite a few, so it looks like they kind of changed these so they're smaller. We're gonna try to, hopefully, we got some weather coming in on Wednesday, it looks like, and potentially the S word, snow. So we're hoping to get our personal beans done by that time. We do some custom jobs, so it'll just be kind of a push to see how we do. We should, but you know, things can happen, stuff breaks down, weather can change, and things like that. So we'll see how it goes. So we've just started a new field. Just another look at this 735 flex draper. These are kind of the different snouts I was telling you about. More robust reel and reel fingers compared to ours. They said there's a better way. They made them so they're quicker to change these belts somehow. Hopefully I don't have to find out, but that was another thing they improved on. Got a wider throat now, or the drum. They've changed these since the early ones. These belts, they used to just have flaps like this on it, but now that supposedly these throw less beans up in the air, so that's a little different. One thing on mine that's different is this section in here was the air problem area for mine, and I'd get dirt. Mine would kind of come in and angle out and go in. Well, the problem is dirt and debris would get up in there, they'd lodge up in here, and it would pack in there and stop my belt. And I see they kind of put some things in here too as well, so I don't know if they would add that on to something like mine as well. So but yeah, that's a 735 flex draper for you. One thing, it was either last or second to last video I got kind of hammered on was my grain tank quality, and I'm not sure if it was on the beans or the corn, but it was a little dirty, the sample was. At one point I was going down a hill in wet corn, and my tailings return auger.
More, Rob, so I'll meet you at that end.
10-4. And so my tailings return auger got plugged up full of stuff because it was just wet and it was building up, so I opened my bottom sieve open just to kind of let that run more freely. But it kind of brings me to my point here is well, I might continue on after I dump off on my dad here. So getting back to my point on grain tank quality, or how well clean you pick it, you don't have to have it perfectly clean. There's tolerances the elevator gives you on foreign material and splits and whatnot you have on different grain quality. So it doesn't have to look pure quality. I can make it look really clean. The thing is the more cleaner you tend to get it, you kind of start flirting with that kicking it over the back type thing, because those sieves will close down to get it cleaner, Well, as those sieves close down, it allows less stuff to get through, so you kind of got to find that balance of, you know, what's tolerable to haul in or haul to a grain bin. And that makes a difference too on how you're going to store it too. You know, if you're running it through dryers or running it through big bins or whatever, you might want to try to lean maybe on a cleaner sample or stuff like that. And you know, like we're hauling wet corn to a feedlot, well, they're just going to grind that stuff up and feed it. So I mean, foreign material isn't a huge deal. I mean, as long as it isn't excessive, you know, there's tolerances to it. That's kind of what I'm getting after there. So depending on if it's going to be more food quality or if it's going to cattle or ethanol, it just all makes a difference on grain quality. So yeah, you can all do that in settings over here. You got your, this is kind of your sieve adjustment. That's what I'm running right now. You know, you can speed your rotor up and down. You can tighten your concave as well to kind of get those different settings to kind of fine tune where you want your grain sample set. There is defaults that Deere gives you to kind of act as a starting point, and then you can kind of adjust them from there. And so, and everybody's going to have their opinion on that too as well. So. Little guy, you're free. You can see even here in Nebraska we had spots that got flooded out, just didn't grow anything. It's pretty rare for our area, but this field had a lot of water run through it. There was a point where this whole bottom here just had water flowing through it. Especially beans don't handle standing water very well. They'll just die out. Corn can kind of manage it a little better, but it'll just turn yellow. So yeah, it's kind of the issues we've had. We don't have a lot of areas like that, but we got more than normal this year. Combines are typically hydrostatically driven, meaning hydraulics turns the wheels by hydraulic motors. The standard one that we used to be standard on all machines a while back used to be 3 speeds, and they still have that feature. It used to be a yellow knob up here that would actually shift in between gears, but now they make them into buttons. And my last combine wasn't a ProDrive, the 670 I had. You'd actually have to push the buttons to switch in between gear. On our hills, you'd be going uphill and say you're in second gear and start to run out of power. Well, you'd stop and then you'd hit that button, and then it'd actually take a while to switch that gear back to first gear, so you'd have enough hydrostat power to propel you forward anyway. I actually kind of like the 9770s and the 9500s, the older ones. I could do it quicker because some of you guys might know what I'm talking about, but you could kind of rock your combine and pop it into gear faster. Where these push buttons, they kind of got to do it all electronically. This is a ProDrive. It's got 1 and 2, so it's kind of like your IVT transmissions. You can set your forward mile per hour. I got mine set at 6.8 right now. That's just what it'll go to when I push it all the way forward, and then I can easily click it into 2, which will go to my second set speed. Also with the ProDrives, I think it's almost a standard feature too, is the Feederhouse. We're getting so rudely interrupted by this car driver. I don't even remember what we're talking about. Well, maybe I'll remember. Oh man, the struggle is real. Making sure I give my wife a kiss first thing I get home. Hey, what's up, Doc? All right, focus. Feederhouse. You have a Feederhouse drive down there below that silver thing. Spins all that shaft and head and all that glory. This one is equipped with the 5-speed Feederhouse. That's the heavier duty version. It works well for bigger heads like 12 rows or 16 rows, bigger bean heads. My last combine had the standard drive, which it was fine. We still ran it on the 12 row. It's just every about 3 years or so we'd have to replace those the reverser, the shivs would get warped, and then it just wouldn't grab that belt very well. And so that's something, and I would grease it on normal grease intervals, regardless of what the John Deere mechanic says. It's more of a transmission type than using kind of like a centrifugal pulley basically. So that's kind of how those work, those components right there. And I think the transmission kind of goes in unison. I don't know if you could get a ProDrive with the standard. I think they come together, but I'm not sure. So if you know, leave it in the comments below. I wish you guys could see this view on top of this hill. This camera won't do it justice, but you got cattle grazing on the hillside. You got a dam that's full of water down there. The sun's hitting it just right. That's why they call it Nebraska, the good life. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. You just can't beat that. I mean, I wish, like I've been saying, cameras can't do it justice, but yeah, it's a beautiful sunrise. It's a little damp on the ground this morning, so it might be a little bit yet. Shouldn't be too long. Just once the sun starts to hit it, it should dry out. You can hear the birds in the trees. Got to fix a few things on the combine this morning. Missing a skid plate. I should have one of those in the toolbox. These are what you call guards. These protect the sickle sections. This whole thing along here is called the sickle, and these are the sections of the sickle. And these are the hold downs. These are kind of what hold it from going up and down all over the place. And you kind of want to be able to fit, from what I understand, a business card in between there. So this one might be just a little much. They tend to wear, but you kind of hold it down. See, this one could be put down a little bit. And so I'll go along there and kind of readjust some of them and just kind of get them nice and tidy. I got a guard out here broke. A lot of times, if it's still cutting fine and it's not causing me any problems, I'll even just leave it, because If it's not bothering anything, it really doesn't have to be fixed right away until, you know, you get a downtime or in the morning or something like that. So that's why I got, you know, 1 or 2 broken. I think I just have 1. You'll get sections like these that'll still cut fine. Like I said, it's not until you really notice it cutting bad. I'll just wait till like this morning or the next day, just whenever it's convenient. But sometimes you can't get away with it. Say if you got a couple really broken out of place, you'll have to refix those right away, because sometimes they'll get hung up on there and just cause a mess, and you'll see streaks through the field. And so you want a clean cut. It's just yeah, that one needs adjusted too, don't we? So yeah, you're running on the ground all the time. So another thing I need to do is kind of adjust the tension on my clean grain elevator belt. After a while, and this guy's kind of looking rough, but this is your clean grain elevator. It goes all the way up and dumps into your grain tank, and those chains just get they keep getting stretched all the time, so you kind of got to keep adjusting them, and eventually take a half link out of the roller chain to kind of keep it tension. Then after so many times, you just got to replace it then. And so everything just kind of always needs to be retensioned and tightened and stuff like that on your combine. Another kind of roller chain you have on here is your header roller chain. I kind of tightened this one the other day. It can have a little, you don't want it to have super tight that you're always stretching it, but you want it to have enough tension that it's not wobbling everywhere too loose that it could skip a cog anyway. And kind of a daily thing when we're picking beans, or try to at least every other day, is dump your rock trap underneath here. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to get dirty right yet, but I usually do it at night or sometime, you know, since when I'm still dirty. I did it yesterday, so I'm not going to do it now. So, but this year we've kind of used them because we don't usually have rocks in our area. We just get fence posts. We have a lot of water run through a lot of fields, and so yesterday I found a chunk of a 4x4 in there because I could kind of hear something rumbling against my feed accelerator, and so I went out there and there's a kind of a chewed up 4x4 in there, so it works. Piece I need to go on that, looks like I'm missing a tooth on my bottom piece there. The only thing I'm looking for now is there's hammer rivets that lock it into place. I gotta figure out what I did with those. In case if you're wondering what this tool is, it's a special Deere tool that on your single point hookup on the head this is what's used to change those out. It's got kind of a special deal, but then you put your ratchet on it to break them loose. I think I have one in here. Yeah, these are what come out. That's how you change them. This is what goes into the single point hookup. This just sits in there. It kind of stinks that you have to have this special tool to do it, but I guess can't do nothing about it. Complain. So we're getting started here. It's a little dewy, but it's cutting them off. One thing that is a little bit of a benefit with Drapers is it kind of helps you get that even feed earlier in the morning. Augers will tend to kind of slug them just a little bit more because stuff with a little moisture will just kind of ball up a little easier and stuff. I don't know if it's a huge night and day difference, but it does help, you know, Drapers versus auger heads. One thing also about Drapers is you can control your belt speed as you flow in, and it all depends on the speed you're going, and the size of crop you're pulling in is kind of what you want your header at. If you're running it too fast, it'll tend to build up clumps and throw them in there, so you kind of got to set that speed just right, so it's getting a nice even feed. Right now you kind of go over here and then you can kind of figure out your header speed. Right now I'm kind of running it at 100. This is a dryland field. We're going up a hill and they're kind of getting shorter here, so just kind of finding that balance between speed and just trying to keep that crop flowing. Plus in the morning you gotta kind of help those out with the reel to kick them in there, just because stuff needs a little help when it's a little wet or damp. It shouldn't be too much longer. The sun's out, it's drying, so once we get dried out here, I mean, we'll be able to flow pretty good. Right now I'm just kind of poking around at 3.3, just kind of whatever it lets me do. Another thing about these reels is where I don't have to flip over reel. A lot of it's height and setting and back and forth to try to keep them from wrapping around the reel. With the flip over reel, it's less guesswork on them because they just don't wrap as easily as like this standard style does. You know, I get along fine with mine. Some people have a lot of issues. You know, it just depends on preference, how you're running it and whatnot. So my brother has a flip over reel. It's just they're a little expensive to add to them. If it's something we would upgrade to.
How much do you have in your tractor, Dave?
It would be something I would probably put on in the future.
Just about exactly half, maybe a bar under half. 10-4.
So yeah, that's kind of.
Do I need to fill it before we go, or you want me to fill a co-op, or what are you thinking? Oh, you might be all right for the day. I mean, we're gonna be up there, then we'll be coming back. We might see if we can get a little bit more out of this fuel trailer before you leave. I can let the jack down. We'll get some more out. 10-4.
I'm sorry guys, there's a lot of turkeys on this operation. I can't handle it. Bye. See you at Thanksgiving. On my plate. Transport between fields.
And protect your bottom line. It's Commodity Wrap on Rural Radio.
There's nothing creepy. There was eyeballs in the closet? Your skin is getting clammy. It sure starts creepy.
Kind of multiplying.
Was getting creepy.
Well, we got our personal beans done right now, so we're actually heading to go start on some custom bean jobs, and that's what we got left. I don't know, we won't get them all done today, but so apparently some snow is coming in. I don't know if it's going to be tonight or tomorrow. I haven't looked at the forecast lately, but it looks like some significant weather could be moving in, and it is the S word, snow. So that's kind of a four-letter word around here, ain't it, guys? Yeah. So we're moving on to the next field. It's a little bit of a drive, so we're on the roll. So that's been the progress on the lake setup. It's been slow. Everybody's been backed up construction-wise in the area. It's just been a wet summer. This thing, we planned to have it all done, but it just isn't working out that way. We hope to be able to use it this year. I'm guessing we're still a couple weeks out though on everything to be able to dump into it at least. So we'll see how that goes. Yesterday they had to bring in tanks. Well, they brought in a tank from Sargent, Nebraska. We bought an old anhydrous tank to hold propane for the dryer system, and here's some videos now of that being done. But no, they had to basically pick it up with the crane there, and then they drove the crane back here and dropped it off there. So been a lot of cranes used in this setup. They had to bring in a big crane to finish the top of that leg and stuff like that. So it's been a cool process to kind of see how they do it all. Hopefully it works well for us, and hopefully we get to use it. But no, it's wet. It's not. It hasn't done a lot of moisture in our area. I feel for you guys up in South Dakota, North Dakota. I think you guys are getting hit with a lot of snow, and so hopefully it's not too bad. Thinking of you guys up there. Hopefully, I know crops are kind of behind and everything, so leave a comment on how you're doing in your area below. But no guys, that's it for this video, and thank you for watching O'Neill Family Farms on YouTube. Catch you next time.